In this video, I'm going to talk about the fact that the Mark III Golf seems to be one of the most hated cars on the internet. And the fact I just bought one. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. And yes, that's right, the next car is a 1996 Volkswagen Golf 1.9 TDi. Those of you that read articles on piston heads will know that recently, a couple of weeks ago, the shed of the week was a Mark III Golf 1.4 and it went down like a lead balloon. I've never known a car to be quite so hated by people on the internet. For those of you that don't read piston heads, shed of the week, basically, they find a car for less than 1,500 quid that's road legal, ready to go, and it is all sorts of stuff. It covers the complete motoring spectrum, and often much more interesting stuff than what we deal with here. But Mark III Golf, it was very clean and tidy, very original, no rust, really lovely. I mean, it was a quite base spec, didn't even have a rev counter, which seemed to people, it was blowing people's minds that this car didn't have a rev counter, which, you know, I don't know, base model cars never used to have one. It used to be an optional extra, so I don't know why it was such a surprise. But so I'll put a link in the description to the article if you want to have a read yourself. But let's have a look at some of the comments and see what the people of Piston Heads think of the Mark III Golf. So we have, it's not April the 1st. Okay, it's a survivor, but this has to be the worst shed ever. I drove a 1.4 Golf back in the day. It literally couldn't pull the skin off a rice pudding. Awful. Seriously? Another Golf? Someone call the care home. Sheds escaped again. Probably can't read the next one about pulling a stick from somewhere on YouTube. That's not very family friendly. The worst car I have seen in Shed of the Week. Perfect antidote for insomnia. And you get the idea. So, not a popular choice. So, to me, it was the obvious choice for March's car would be a Mark III Golf. Now, did I go and buy the nice clean and tidy one that was on Shed of the Week? It's only £495, so it was within budget. Would have been an ideal choice. No. I bought something much worse. Much, much worse. Cheaper, half the price, but much worse. Let's have a look. Okay, so here we go then. As you can see, it's probably not the most mint condition example that you'll find around. A little bit of damage to the bumper there. Front wings have obviously been filled in the past to get rid of some rust. A little bit more rust kicking about. They all do that, of course. Interesting attachment of the side trim there. Looks factory fresh to me. They haven't even bothered with the trim on this bit. Nice bit of surface rust in the arch. And on the other wing as well. So yeah, hardly a concourse example. And I'm pretty sure that's not the factory way to keep the window up. So I'm guessing that, like all of these do at some point, the electric window was broken. And in fact, the previous owner said not to bother trying to use any of the electric windows because he wasn't confident they would actually come back up if they do go down. Nice. Inside, it's pretty filthy, smells bad. Beaded seat cover's a bit of a win though. I'm liking that. That might need to Might need to stay and go to some other cars. So sat in the driver's seat then. Nice taped on trim around the steering column here. Yes, always nice and reassuring. $103,000 on the clock, so the spring chicken compared with the Rover, but certainly in worse condition. Typical Sony aftermarket stereo of the period. Not sure if it works, but a sunroof, which I daren't open, although it smells in here like something's been letting water in, which is probably the sunroof. It usually is. So there we have it, a lovely concourse example of a Mark III Volkswagen Golf. Now it is a 1.9 TDi, so perhaps a little bit less hated engine-wise than the 1.4 petrol that was shed of the week. Certainly a little bit pokier. I've only really driven it back to the workshop from where I picked it up so far. It's quite pokey, you know. It's not too bad at all. Certainly it will be faster than the 1.4 petrol, but I mean, with cars like this doesn't really matter, does it? It's a Golf at the end of the day. It's not a GTI. It's not going to try to be a GTI. So I'm not too concerned about the performance, really. It's more about getting from A to B without breaking down, and hopefully it'll be all right at that. Although the previous owner did say something about it going into limp home mode now and again, which it hasn't done so far, but you never know. Knowing my luck, it'll start playing up as soon as I start using it regularly. But mechanically, on the whole, it seems all right. You know, start, stops and steers. What more can you ask for 250 quid, eh? One of the many things that was broken on this car is the door locks. So the barrel just comes straight out. Pretty sure it's not supposed to do that. Probably about time to replace that number plate as well. Not sure whether to keep the spotlights or not. Apparently they do make a big difference driving at night, but I don't know. Never a big fan of things added on, non-standard lighting and stuff like that. Might need to lose those, I think. Let me know in the comments if you think they should stay or go, and we'll see what we can do. So that's what my £250 Volkswagen Golf looks like. Starting to see what some of the hatred might be about, to be honest. Not the best example. Definitely not the best car I've purchased so far in terms of condition. But I'm sure there's something hiding in there. I'm sure we can make this one a little bit better. But anyway, I'm going to stick the camera on the windscreen and we'll go for a drive and see what this thing's like on the road. Okay then, let's go for a drive and we'll see what this thing's like, shall we? It's not the last word in refinement, I'll give it that. One thing I will say for it though, it started up no worries, and it's been sitting around for a good couple of weeks. I've had this one for a little bit longer than you might think. It's just been lying around at the unit, not been going anywhere because it's not been taxed or anything. So, and yeah, it just starts up no worries. It's no problem at all. I guess it's testament to the simplicity of these things that there's not loads of electronics draining the battery or anything like that. So, you know, it's spot on. An ideal car if you need a spare car that you're going to leave lying around, or you know, leave at a holiday home or something like that. Something that you need that'll just start up and drive when you want it to drive. Don't think you can go far wrong. But just checking how much fuel we have there. The one and only time I've ever ran out of fuel in a car was in a Mark III Golf. It was a petrol one. Because these cars don't have a fuel warning light. The needle goes down to empty, and it stops. And I had no idea that was why it had broken down. It just conked out in the middle of a roundabout, and I thought, oh, here we go, because it wasn't quite as rough as this one, but it wasn't exactly brand new either. So it was fairly reasonable to suspect that it had some terminal mechanical failure. I mean, you know, if you're driving along and the car just stops and it's old and knackered, it probably is because it's old and knackered. But yeah, I'd run out of fuel because there's no fuel warning light. It gets down to empty and it stops, and it's the only car I've ever seen and ever driven, especially of this kind of age. I mean, you know, early to mid 90s, that doesn't have a fuel warning light. I couldn't believe it. I absolutely couldn't believe it, but I definitely wouldn't make that mistake again. But yeah, this thing, I mean, it's rough, it's old, it's rattly, but it goes well. Start, stops and steers, and at the end of the day, sometimes that's all you need from a car. What I would say is I would describe this one as a banger. You know, this is properly what a banger is, rather than you know, an old car that's just cheap because it's old. I think this one, yeah, it's rough, it's proper, on its last legs. You know, with it mechanically, it's absolutely fine. Engine wise, it's absolutely fine, and I'm sure what will actually end up becoming of this car is somebody will whip the engine out and they'll put it in a transporter or something like that, you know, because the engines are absolutely unburstable. They go on forever. You just can't kill them. But the body obviously is rusty in the arches. It's been repaired before. I'm not going to be fixing that, I don't think. And it's probably not worth it. I think, you know, it probably doesn't have long, but it'll pass another MOT or another couple of MOTs, and it'll get you around. I think you'd need to spend an awful lot of time and money to try and make this into a pristine example, and because it's an R3 Golf, because everybody hates them, nobody's ever going to do that. Not even I'm not stupid enough to do that, and as you'll see from the Volkswagen Fox videos, I at least entertain stupid ideas when it comes to saving cars that belong in a scrapyard. Don't necessarily commit to doing so, but it at least crosses my mind. But with this one, it's definitely not going to be a restoration job. The plan for this, it's almost going to be a little bit wheeler dealer style. I'm just going to tidy it up. So we're going to get the electric windows all working, because the wooden support in the passenger side isn't exactly optimal. Having a working driver's window is definitely an essential. I could quite happily leave the other ones in this car if I had to, you know, if the parts are expensive. And I was going to say if it's a huge pain to do, but it is a huge pain to do. Volkswagen window regulators, they are a massive pain to change. I've done it before on Passats and stuff like that, because they're made of chocolate and they all break. But yeah, we'll get that done. But the parts are so cheap, I'll sort all three of them, because we do have one working electric window, which is nice. But the parts are so cheap, I'll sort them all, get them all working. It needs a good clean in here. It's nowhere near as bad as the Fox is. If you want to see a dirty car, you want to look at those videos, but definitely needs a clean. And it just smells a bit musty in here. The previous owner said that there was water getting in somehow, and imagine my shock to learn that an old Volkswagen has water leaking in from the outside. You know, that never happens, does it? So it does smell just a bit musty and a bit like there's probably been damp, you know, water getting in for quite some time, and it's getting a bit damp and horrible in here. So a good clean, and then perhaps try and find out where the water is entering the car. The trim at the bottom of the windscreen is a little bit dodgy, so that would be my top candidate, is that water's running in there, but we'll see. So once it's had a good clean, yeah, I'm feeling like this one's it's almost going to be a little bit wheeler dealers. I'm not going to make a actual dramatic improvement to the car, because it seems to be fine. A previous owner did say it goes into limp mode sometimes, so if that rears its ugly head, we'll need to look at that. So that might probably be the only mechanical repair that might be on the agenda for this. And then apart from that, I think I'm just going to try and make it look a little bit better. We're going to sack off all the broken and horrible rubbing strips on the doors and try and replace them. And then I think the sort of lower spec cars, this is a GL, but the lower spec, like the CL, had covers on the wheel arches as well, which on this car would be ideal for hiding the sort of dodgy repairs to the arches, I'll treat any rust that's there first, and you know, I'm not just going to slap something straight on top of rust. But I think the best bet for sort of just improving the looks and making it a little bit less disgusting to look at could be to, you know, put some of those trims on the arches, not like chrome ones. I'm not going to do the whole chrome arch thing. Like if you see an old Mercedes with chrome arches, you know why. But I think if we can get this sort of OEM style black wheel arch trims, and then perhaps the black rubbing strips to go with them, we'll get rid of the ones that have been put on with some self-tapping wood screws, and I think that'll definitely lift the car. And we're just generally looking at giving it just a little bit of a sort of revitalisation, bring a bit of life back to it. And you know, it might not be the most embarrassing thing in the car park once I'm done with it. And if that's all we do with it, I'll be quite happy with that. Just bring it back from the brink slightly and make it so that, you know, the vast majority of the motoring population, not me of course, wouldn't be embarrassed to be seen in it. I mean, I don't care what I drive. I'll drive anything. It doesn't really matter to me what kind of state it's in. But I think in terms of moving this on and finding a new owner for it, it'll probably need to be a little bit less terrible to look at. So if we can do that, I'll be quite happy. Well, that's March's 1.9 TDi Volkswagen Golf. Little bit of a step down in terms of both presentability and comfort and refinement, but that's the name of the game, I guess. Let me know in the comments how much you hate this car. I'll be glad to read every single one of them. If you want to see more of the journey, please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Like and share this video to spread the word, get as many people watching this as possible. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.